Good morning. Welcome to the CUNA Advocacy Update for May 18th, 2020. I'm Ryan Donovan, CUNA's Chief Advocacy Officer. Here are three things you need to know about credit union advocacy this week. The House of Representatives has passed Phase 4 recovery legislation. Progress is being made on implementing the 2020 advocacy agenda, and a lot of work remains to ensure credit unions continue to be able to serve their members during the crisis and into recovery. On Friday night, the House of Representatives passed another massive recovery bill aimed at restarting the economy during the COVID-19 pandemic. This legislation includes a number of provisions that credit unions support, including emergency funding for the Community Development Financial Institution Fund, changes to the Paycheck Protection Program, and a technical fix related to paid leave tax credits enacted in the Phase 2 stimulus bill. However, it also included a number of provisions that credit unions oppose, including moratoria on debt collection and repossession activities during the crisis, as well as adverse credit reporting. For better or for worse, this legislation is dead on arrival in the Senate. We don't expect the Senate to begin work on the next phase of recovery legislation until June. Still, as you can see here, there are a number of priorities that we continue to fight for and issues that we will engage against as Congress comes together on a new round of recovery legislation. With so much focus squarely on the crisis and recovery efforts, it's easy to lose sight on the broader advocacy agenda. Each year we come together, credit unions, leagues, and CUNA, to develop a credit union advocacy agenda. And regular readers of the advocacy update will recall our 2020 advocacy agenda has 4 pillars built on a foundation of financial wellness. Credit unions have told us for the last several years that they want us to focus on 4 things. First, reduce regulatory burden so members have more efficient access to financial services. So we try to influence the regulatory burden legislation. We try to advance our priorities at the CFPB and NCUA, and we assert credit unions' perspective in litigation. Second, they want us to expand credit union powers and opportunities so consumers and small businesses have more efficient access to credit unions. So we've been executing on work that the Credit Union Powers Subcommittee has been doing for the last several years to identify changes that should be made in the Federal Credit Union Act. Third, they want us to enhance information security so that credit union member data is protected from cyber attack and data breach. And here, this is where we expected to focus a lot of our attention this year on getting a national data security and data privacy bill. And finally, credit unions want us to preserve the tax statuses that credit unions operate under so that credit union members continue to enjoy not-for-profit cooperative financial services. And we have robust strategies aimed at doing that both at the federal level and also at the state level in cooperation with the state credit union leagues. This year's agenda has been built on a foundation of financial wellness, which means that we try hard to put credit union members' interests front and center in our advocacy. Credit unions exist to serve their members and improve their financial well-being, and our advocacy need to focus on how policy helps improve their financial well-being as well. So we try to talk about how legislation or regulatory changes help to address financial insecurity, improve financial health, and advance financial inclusion. And man, we came out of the Governmental Affairs Conference with a lot of momentum, and then COVID-19 kind of shut everything down. Our focus went from issues like data security and data information security to public health and how credit unions can stay open during a global pandemic. And frankly, our focus has been so intensely on these 60 issues that we could have very easily said we were going to abandon the agenda and focus only on COVID matters. But the truth of the matter is that when we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and we're making progress on the agenda credit unions sent us out to pursue. We've seen victories on things like the Regulation D transfer limit. We worked on getting the Federal Reserve to increase or eliminate that transfer limit for 8 years, and they finally did it. It was done under the auspices of the COVID crisis. That change is effective until the Fed changes it. And they'd have to go through another rulemaking process to do that. So it's as good as a permanent change at this point. NCUA finalized its appraisal rules, which reduce burden on credit unions. The CFPB finalized revisions to its remittance rule and expanded the exemption threshold 5 times from 100 to 500 remittances per year. We worked with our league partners to convince NCUA to modify the definition of a low-income credit union to include all military members. And this should make it a lot easier for credit unions to qualify for the low-income status, opening up supplemental capital and small and member business lending opportunities for these credit unions. We're just a couple of weeks away from knowing whether the Supreme Court will hear the American Bankers Association appeal of the field of membership litigation. And we are on advocacy offense with respect to preserving state credit union tax statuses, working closely with several leagues and using the National Advocacy Fund to show how credit unions are advancing their communities and engaged in delivering financial services to rural areas. This work will become even more critical as we enter recovery, and states and the federal government look for ways to pay for the enormous outlays that they've made in recent weeks. COVID-19 hasn't interrupted our advocacy agenda. Work continues, and the crisis has given us another avenue to show what credit unions are all about. It's because of our agenda, not despite it, that we're able to effectively advocate for credit unions during this challenging time. And I say that as somebody who helped advocate for credit unions during the last financial crisis. We're in such a stronger position this time around. We have a clearly established and understood goal. We have a proven advocacy strategy, 360-degree advocacy. We have a strong agenda that provides us fantastic direction. And of course, we have a good team working on these issues together with strong advocates at the state credit union leagues. It's been said that credit unions enter this crisis in as good a shape as they could. And I think and I hope the same could be said for our system-wide advocacy efforts. But over the last 10 weeks, we all know we've been engaged in approximately 60 different issues with the goal of helping credit unions remain in a position to serve their members during the crisis and into recovery. And there's a lot of work that remains on this. We've seen some positive outcomes as we've worked on this, making sure that credit unions can stay open as essential services, getting examiners out of the credit union, suspending rulemakings, getting participation in the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, getting an expansion of the Central Liquidity Facility, and other positive steps that have allowed credit unions to continue to serve their members during this time. But we have a whole host of issues remaining, issues before Congress, NCUA, the CFPB, SBA, and other agencies, many things that we need to change so that credit unions can be in a better position to serve their members, and a number of things that we are going to have to oppose because they would complicate those things. But these are issues that we're hearing about every day from credit unions and leagues. We've had some tremendous engagement with credit unions over the last several weeks that really help us understand how the crisis is impacting them and where public policy is falling short on permitting them to efficiently serve their members. This is what it's all about. Taking what credit unions are experiencing in the field and getting policy change to make it easier for them to fulfill their mission. So if there are things that you're facing that we can help with from an advocacy perspective, I hope you won't hesitate to be in contact with me. You really would be surprised at how often we hear from someone with a new issue or concern and then quickly find that it's an issue for many credit unions. I hope this update has been helpful. If you have any questions or concerns during the week, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope you have a great day and a great week.